Boris Johnson has set out his vision for what he called the UK's glorious future outside the European Union today.
Writing in the Daily Telegraph, Mr Johnson also revived the controversial claim that leaving the EU could mean an extra £350 million a week for the NHS.
Now let's talk to ours this morning. It's interesting time in this, isn't it? Because we've got the Prime Minister heading to Italy later this week to talk about Brexit.
Campaigners are calling for a 50%.
Now, a day after its latest ballistic missile launch, North Korea has said its final goal is to match the military power of the United States.
Dan, for the moment, thank you very much. Dan Freeman from New Scotland Yard. We'll keep you up to date, of course, with all developments throughout the programme this morning.
Yeah, just coming up to 8:15. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. The main stories for you this morning. I'm not looking forward to tonight then. If you said it's going to be cold, I'm back in here tomorrow as well.
Frost overnight.
Yeah.
Have been a couple of nights, haven't there? So 3 years ago, Prince Harry founded the Invictus Games. That's an international sports event for wounded servicemen and women.
Yeah, next week, 90 competitors, which is the UK's biggest team yet, will take part in the Games in Canada. Now, Paralympian Steve Brown, who's a former wheelchair rugby captain, has been to meet one athlete who's determined not to let his injuries define his life.
Platform.
Quite clever, actually.
In a way, I mean, children have always hidden things from their parents, and this is just the new incarnation of that, isn't it? With technology as the avenue through which that's done.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Breakfast with Charlie State and Steph McGovern.
Coming up before
Donald Trump saying that this was a loser terrorist in the sight of Scotland Yard. What do you make of that tweet? Information with the US, given this is the second time now when the US president has put out, as you've just described it, as an unhelpful tweet. Thank you very much. That's Ben Wallace there, the Security Minister. Thank you.
Let's take you through the rest of the day's news now. And a day after its latest test firing of a ballistic missile, North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un has said his goal is to match the military power of the United States.
Excellent.
OK. 8:49 is the time. That means it's time to have a look at the weather. Stav's there for us. It's worth pointing out that if you're a little bit confused by the fact that Steph was apparently not around for
and
the
your
interview,
tie changed.
Rob was here yesterday, and so we just spoke to him then. Steph clearly wasn't here.
Yeah.
That explains.
Yes, but if you missed Rob's news show Static, you can. Hello, this is Breakfast with Charlie State and Steph McGovern.
The UK terror threat is raised to critical, its highest level, as the manhunt for the person behind the Parsons Green tube bombing continues.
Good morning. First, our main story. Armed police and military personnel are being deployed at key locations across the UK after the terror threat level was increased to critical. That's the highest possible level.
Hundreds of officers are helping to search for those behind.
Friedman in New Scotland Yard for us this morning. So, Dan, we know there's a manhunt underway. What's the latest in the investigation? Friedman there at New Scotland Yard.
Rest of today's news now. Boris Johnson has set out his vision for what he called the UK's glorious future. Other news now. Gamekeepers in Argyll and Bute have expressed concern after more than 11,000 farmed salmon escaped into local rivers.